Welcome to this brand new first edition of its personal series presented by Kotak Securities and flipitmoney. जब हम पर्सनल फाइनेंस ये वर्ड कहीं बोलते हैं या सुनते हैं तभी हमारे दिमाग में कई सारे टॉपिक्स आ जाते हैं लाइक बजटिंग, इंश्योरेंस, इन्वेस्टमेंट प्लानिंग, रिटायरमेंट प्लानिंग, टैक्स प्लानिंग एंड मच मोर. Now these heavy words and so many factors involved financial planning can sometimes become a bit confusing, dull and boring. इसलिए हम इस इम्पॉर्टेंट सब्जेक्ट से हमेशा दूर भागते रहते हैं विच इज टोटली रॉन्ग, क्योंकि ये एक ऐसी पर्सनल स्किल है, एक ऐसा आर्ट है जो आपको, मुझे और हम सबको सीखना चाहिए टू मैनेज आवर इनकम एंड एक्सपेंसेस, टू फुलफिल आवर ड्रीम्स, to protect our future and to make money works for us. And that's why we have taken this initiative जिसका नाम है It's Personal. इस सीरीज के थ्रू हम 5 अलग अलग एपिसोड्स में पर्सनल फाइनेंस के बेसिक्स एंड इम्पॉर्टेंट कंसेप्ट्स को सिंपल तरीके से आपको समझाएंगे, जिन्हें आपको डे टू डे लाइफ में इम्प्लीमेंट करना है. यकीन मानिए, अगर आप एक बार इस पूरे कंसेप्ट को समझ जाएंगे तो आपके फाइनेंशियल फ्रीडम की राह बेहद आसान हो जाएगी. So let's start the first session of its personal series. We have with us Mr. Kalpesh Ashar, a certified financial planner and a prominent personality in the finance fraternity. कल्पेश को हम रेगुलरली न्यूज़ चैनल्स में देखते हैं, सुनते हैं, और अब कल्पेश हमें फाइनेंशियल प्लानिंग समझाएंगे. कल्पेश, a very warm welcome to its personal series presented by Kotak Securities and flipitmoney. This topic, personal finance, is really important for all of us. However, we always try to ignore it because we don't understand it. So to begin with, can you please simplify the term financial planning to our viewers?
Hello friends, and thanks a lot for having me here to speak on a very subject close to my heart and a very cherished topic, which is nothing but personal financial planning. And when we talk about personal financial planning, it's a huge area which we have to cover. But let's start from the start. So let's talk about the simple two terms we keep on using, which is nothing but money and wealth. And we use these two terms in our day-to-day life quite abundantly. So let's understand what is money and what is wealth first. So money is something which we make on a day-to-day basis. We earn it on our income and we also spend it. But wealth is something which we create over a period of time. And this process of making money and creating wealth is possible genuinely by a very simple process called personal financial planning. So without wasting much time, let's understand that what is personal financial planning. Now, when we say personal financial planning, it is not a great, a technical term or a science or some great maths. It is very simple basics of life, which we just apply to our finances in our day-to-day activities. So, if we were to go by the definition of what is personal financial planning, we can have basically enumerated into 5 different things, and we call those 5 things as the pillars of financial planning. Now, before we go into the pillars of financial planning, let's see what is a platform. What should be our mindset when we get into the zone of personal financial planning. And there are just 2 things, friends, we need to keep ourselves abreast of, so we can easily adapt to that process, which is nothing but, first and foremost, is the awareness. We should be aware of our internal financial situation and also partially aware of the external financial situation. And second is choosing the right path, because in finance, I personally believe that rather than doing the things right, what is more important is avoiding the wrong things. So that right path is necessary. And that is where the financial planning process comes to the core.
कल्पेश, ये एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट बात आपने कही कि rather than doing things right, what is more important is avoiding wrong things. तो सही और गलत का फैसला आखिर कैसे किया जाए, कैसे सही फैसले लिए जाएं?
First and foremost is nothing but your cash flow, your personal budget. And for us financial planners, and especially for me, this is the nerve center. Without understanding the cash flow or the personal budget, I don't think you can get into the nitty-gritty or the details of anybody's personal financial plan. The second one is the net worth estimation, which is again understanding your financial assets and also understanding your liabilities. So, your assets minus your liabilities gives you your personal net worth. Third is your heart, which is your heart of financial planning, which is investment linked goal planning. You have to understand that both of them are interwoven. So, your goals are very important in financial planning, be it short term goals, long term goals, and they have to be backed by a super concrete investment plan. The fourth is managing your risks. It is a risk management, and that is done through a perfect insurance guideline, insurance advisory. And the final one, which is unavoidable, is nothing but your personal taxation. So we'll touch all these topics as we move forward about the pillars of financial planning.
Kalpesh, as you said, the first pillar, that is cash flow, is the nerve center of financial planning. Could you please tell us what is this cash flow is all about and what is the first step to managing it?
So, as I mentioned earlier, explaining the five pillars of personal financial planning, and the first one, which I call the nerve center, the most important one, is your cash flow. This is your personal budget. And what is it? It's not that difficult, friends. It is something, you would have seen your mother or your wife, write down in a small diary all the expenses which, she would have incurred on buying groceries and all the household stuff. This is a larger platform or a larger, a projection of your income and expenses, not only your expenses. So how do we start in understanding what is a cash flow? So say for example, a household brings in a certain amount of income, wide a monthly salary, or the professional brings in amounts which are variable on a monthly or an annual basis. That is the amount which the bread earners get in hand on a monthly basis. Now that could also include, apart from this, your investments which fetch you, interest or dividend and all. Ultimately, what counts is how much money comes into your hand or in your bank account at the end of every month. That is the income part. Now coming to the expenses part. Now, when the expenses are articulated or are accounted for, every expense as far as possible needs to be accounted from. So I'm talking about your groceries, paying your household help, paying your school children's fees, their expenses, their extracurricular activities, your lifestyle expenses, your medical expenses, your insurance premiums, which either go on a monthly, quarterly basis, then even going for your travel expenses, how much do you budget? Once you do that, you at least come closer to estimating how much are your monthly expenses. Now, once you do that, you know that your income should obviously be more than your expenses. But we find out, and so does the client who does the cash flow. It's an eye-opening experience for him when he sits down and writes his cash flow, that many a times he finds his expenses moving up than his income. How is that possible? But it's happening. He's still living a normal lifestyle, which means there is a leakage somewhere in the ship, which means that something is not right. So, which could add up to him having unwanted expenses, him taking a loan to furnish some expenses, or breaking investments interim, which are meant for a different goal, to furnish your day-to-day lifestyle. So understanding this is very important. And on the other hand, there's a good side to it as well. So you might be spending much lesser than your income on an honest basis. So that could mean that you are not investing that amount as well for a proper financial goal, which you could easily do because you've never done that exercise to make out that that much surplus you are on the contrary saving per month. So a cash flow is the most important, I would say, tool in the whole process of financial planning, and that is the first stepping stone which we as advisors make our clients do.
That's great. So cash flow and personal budgeting are the stepping stones in financial planning. Now what's next? ये जानेंगे हमारे next episode में. Thanks Kalpesh. Thanks a lot for joining us. Hope you guys have liked this show and I'm sure in the next episode we are going to learn different aspects of financial planning. लेकिन नेक्स्ट एपिसोड आने से पहले डू सब्सक्राइब टू आवर कोटेक सिक्योरिटीज यूट्यूब चैनल. इफ यू हैव एनी डाउट्स और क्वेश्चंस, प्लीज लीव देम इन द कमेंट सेक्शन. वी विल गेट बैक टू यू. यू कैन ऑल्सो कैच अस ऑन ऑल आवर सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म्स. ये सारे लिंक्स आपको नीचे नीचे दिए गए डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में मिल जाएंगे. ये स्पेशल इनिशिएटिव आप अपने फ्रेंड्स और फैमिली के साथ जरूर शेयर करें. ऑलवेज रिमेंबर, वी कांट इग्नोर इट बिकॉज इट्स पर्सनल.
Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.